So let's just talk about sales stuff, I guess.
Do you have any questions you want us to go through first?
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
First question. How do you handle the objection? Let me think about it.
Well, get a little background first, because if you're selling like lower ticket, like $500 to $1,000, this probably not be your best approach. I sell higher ticket. I sell anywhere between $5,000 to $15,000 products, with the majority being $10,000. So with that said, there's two types of let me thinks about it. So there's a concept called legato and staccato. And if anyone's a musician, they have probably heard of this concept before. If you're not a musician, legato is very drawn out, long, and staccato is very, very sharp, very quick. And people have that same tonality and cadence when they speak. So, for example, I close about 60% of my deals on a let me think about it, but I look for a let me think about it that's spawned off a staccato. So what I mean by that is if someone's like, okay, yeah, everything looks good. Can I just go think about it? And I'll get back to you. That's legato. You can see that he's thinking while he's talking. He's like his pronunciation is very drawn out. Where there's staccato, and it's like, okay, yeah, all this looks good. Let me think about it. I can get back to you on Sunday. Does that work for you? Around 3 p.m. See how certain that was? How well thought out, and that it's a normal routine for him. So you'll see when you're on these calls and you're selling a higher ticket, and people have that staccato, you want to book the follow-up. And when you book the follow-up, you just want to walk them through their process. Like, yeah, totally. Let me ask, what is your thought process? How do you like to go down those routes? Do you like to think about things while you're washing the dishes and doing more like autonomous stuff, like running or jogging? Or do you like to sit down and weigh out pros and cons? Have them walk you through it so it's a bit more realistic, and then you can get that time. And then I always hop on that one and I close the deal. I just closed $19,600, not revenue, but collected in the bank today from Let Me Think About It. So
I think we knew that was coming.
It's completely okay and totally normal. But when you hear that legato in their voice, where they're like, it doesn't sound certain, that's something else, and that's a smoke screen. And you need to break that down and obviously figure out what's really going on. Because chances are you fucked up somewhere on the call. Can I swear? We just bleep
I was way beyond that. We're already there.
You messed up somewhere on the call. And you need to figure out what belief that person does not have, and you need to fix that if it's even fixable at that point.
Okay, so if it's even fixable. Okay, what if you?
Yeah,
go ahead.
So first of all, I'll say that shit is high level. Like what you guys just heard, that's some straight up psychology shit, listening to bits and bits of the actual sales call. That's when you get really fucking good. What I'll say, like what I'll add into that, because that's some high level shit, bro. That's impressive stuff.
Appreciate it.
So what I'll add into that is finding out how they make decisions. Because if they need to think about it, you want to figure out why they need to do that, but not asking I swear, reflex answers like, what do you need to think about? Like, oh my God. Guys, that may have worked in the fucking 90s.
They don't even know what they want to think about.
Yeah, maybe in the early 2000s, but this is a new age of sales. So what we want to do, to what Temple said, like you got to break it down to the psychology. So the first thing I would do is agree and acknowledge. So I would say, yeah, it totally makes sense. Like, I respect that. If you think about it, I have to think about that stuff, or I have to think about stuff too. Before we hop off the call and schedule time for our next one, because you're always future pacing, I would ask them, is this normally how you make decisions? And I would just come out straight out with it, and they're going to be like, well, they either say one or two things. What do you mean? And yeah, I always have to think about stuff before I move forward. And if they do say that, say, okay, and typically how does that work out for you? And they're going to say, well, actually what they usually say is, well, I mean, I'm on this call right now. And that's usually what they say to me. I'm like, okay. So how many times has someone actually stood up for you and told you that maybe it's time to do something a little bit different than what you used to doing? And they're going to be like, one of two things, either never, or they're going to say like, what do you mean? And I like to respond with coming back and saying, look, here's the deal. Like, you've been thinking about it before you hopped on this call. This isn't the first time you've ran into understanding that something's not working right for you. So what I'm going to do for you today, and like we can absolutely, like normally I would book a follow-up, but I'm not going to do that today. And the reason why is because you already told me you're a 9 or 10 out of 10, which we talked about. So at this point I say, look, you already told me you're a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. So you already know this is the right fit for you, okay? And I understand normally I would let you think about it and we would schedule a follow-up call. So this way you would have some time to be able to process what's actually happening here, but you already know it's the right fit for you. And you understand you need to take action because you already told me this is a now problem you're looking to solve. So we're not gonna schedule a follow-up for that reason. And I'm gonna stand up for you today and I'm gonna challenge you to get started because from the sounds of it, nobody has.
That closes fire, by the way. I
Yo.
used it like 2 weeks ago and it worked.
Yo, it's some heavy shit because you're being real, you're being authentic, and you're standing up for somebody because if you have something that works for them. So we're gonna break it. Well, let's circle back because Temple's actually gonna break down the scale. So you should already have a framework for your sales process, and if you are not getting them to answer on a scale of 1 to 10, then you've already missed the mark. So Temple, you want to break down 1 through 10?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. This is nothing new. But pretty much, a lot of people they're always like.
That's like a 405-pound bench press. It's like, oh no, it's lightweight. It's not heavy.
What I mean is it's not a new concept. Like every sales great influencer and leader out there has talked about this. But for those who don't know this concept, I don't really ever handle true objections. I usually handle logistics or obviously maybe some smoke screens. But true traditional objections is not something I really handle. It's a lot of time people will be like, how do you handle this objection? And I don't have those objections. And I'm not saying that from a place of I'm so good I don't have those objections, but I make sure to prevent that before. So before anyone, let's say they ask for the price, I'm like, yeah, that's logistics. Dude, we can talk about that all day if you want. Real quick, it's kind of a bit of a selfish reason because I'm sure you have seen all of our testimonials. We have a really high success rate, and the reason is because we make sure that everybody that jumps in here jumps from a place of absolute desire, and that's a perfect fit for them. So it's kind of selfish, we want to keep that, but just kind of want to ask you, where are you at with this being a fit for you on a scale 1 to 10? And if they're anything a 9 or a 10, fine, make them the offer, talk about pricing. If they're 8 or below, there's something wrong, there's something missing. And that's when you dive in to figure out what's missing, because if you make an offer when they're an 8 out of 10, chances are you're going to get a traditional objection. So that's that.
And then can I add one more piece?
Yeah, go for it.
And this is something Temple already does on his calls, but if they say they're an 8 or lower, just ask them, okay, I appreciate your honesty. How do we fill the gap? How do we get you from a 7 to a 10 or an 8 to a 10 or a 5 to a... If they say they're a 5, I would just be like, all right, well, clearly this isn't a fucking good fit. Bye. But if they're I'm a 7, I'm an 8, just be like, how do we fill the gap and get you to a 10? And typically they tell you, and I'd be like, all right, cool, anything else? Or is that the only thing? And they'll just get all the shit on the table. Because if you deal with it now, that's the problem, is a lot of people want to hear yeses because they're so scared to deal with the shit. You know what I'm saying? They're always, that's why people always say things like, does that make sense? Does that sound good?
How
does that look for you?
It's called happy ears.
Worst thing ever.
Yeah. So people are constantly, like Rob said, looking for the deal. I learned a lot of this concept from my mentor, Mike Mark. Dude, you should check him out if you're looking for somebody to teach you how to take it. But you kind of want to think of it this is the concept he used, and I thought it worked so well. Of a long traditional hallway like you've seen in Scooby-Doo with a bunch of doors and there's monsters behind those doors. You want to check every single door as you pass by them. If not, you're gonna get to the end of the hallway and that monster is gonna get you. So it's the same thing. When people are brushing up, like Rob said, they're just kind of looking for those yeses. If you hear something that's a red flag, challenge that so it doesn't come up later, because it will come up at the end of the call.
Yeah, man. People are so afraid of rejection. It's like we hear rejection all day long on sales calls. It's you need to welcome that shit with open arms and just understand it's a part of the process. Getting shit on is a part of the process. And when you do it right, then you have control.
What do you guys think of similar thing that I've been doing is just asking a simple question, once I've explained to them how it works, figured out their goals and everything, I would be do you believe what I'm offering will allow you to be able to get to the goal that we set? And then if they say yes, then they know that the process is going to work. And then I'll ask, do you believe I'm the best person to help you do that? If then they say yes, that means they trust me. That way I know the only thing left is the money. Do you guys think that's a good approach?
So for me, that's actually a really good point, because we just brought on a new sales guy, and he said the same thing to me, and the dude's a baller. And where he came from in the car industry, it was always, it's either me, it's the product, or it's money. That's what he came in. But I feel in this new day and age, it's it's me, it's the product, or it's you. because money's not actually a part of it. So I would say like,
That's fine.
right? Yeah. So then it's like, do you believe in me to be able to get this job done for you, with you, alongside you? And they're gonna be like, yeah, definitely, right? It's like, okay, do you believe that this is the right option for you? Based on what you know about me and based on what you know about what we can do for you from this entire diagnosis, is this the best option for you? And don't be afraid to tell me no. And they'll say, yeah, this is definitely. Okay, do you believe you can execute on it? What's gonna stop you from executing on it? Because then they're gonna be like, dude, nothing, okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
you-
a good point. So there's the aspect of them that I need to include on too, because they're probably afraid that they're not going to do it.
Yeah, because money's not ever a thing, guys. Like if somebody tells you like the money's not there, until they tell you their bank account's clear, and there's nothing in the bank, and even then you can cover OPM if you want, but like even then, like usually the money's there. Like unless there's no money there, and sometimes OPM can be covered unless the credit's not there. That's a totally different option, which we can talk about in a sec. But I would say it's those three things. Like I don't feel like money's only a problem whenever we make it a problem. Like if we tell them money is an issue, then money becomes an issue, in my opinion. Unless they literally there's no money in the bank and there's no credit, then that it's
No
not
one's
an
gonna
option.
close that.
There you can't. That's not closable.
Well, how do you tell if somebody's not closable with the money aspect?
But do you want to say how we? I actually asked like what's in the vault? Like is the money there? Like we've been on the
Yeah,
call.
let's say
for
they
an
say
hour.
$0.
Okay, no problem. Do you want to do this? They're like, yeah, of course, obviously. And that's when again it's like, well, have you heard of the term OPM? Do you want to lead in? This is a good segue.
Okay. Yeah, they're like, money's not there, like it's tight. I'm like, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, this isn't like the first time, we've heard this before and had it come up, and usually we have a couple workarounds. Before we like figure out like what we could do for you, do you mind if like kind of break down the situation? And then I'll ask what Rob said, which is like, what's the vault? And then from there, if it's like a business growth offer, which I do an agency growth offer, it is like, what contracts do you have recurring that are come in within 30 days? What is projected to close? All of that minuscule stuff, so we can really figure out the actual details. What's in the business? What are you paying yourself? What are you saving for taxes? What's in the savings? What's in your personal income? What does credit look like? And then once you have that and they have like pretty decent credit, if cash doesn't really seem like a smart option, you can dive into OPM.